what's good, everybody, and welcome back to the Headspace Podcast. This is a truly magnificent night. It is fucking episode 50. 50 fucking episodes. It's ridiculous.
Oh, well, okay, that's great.
It's practically a year, and I'm like, to me, it's exciting. Anyway, that's all I'm trying to say with that. My name is HSR.
My name is Chris Chrome.
Chris Chrome's been with us from the beginning. Big ups.
What up, buddy?
This guy's fantastic, whatever you might think of our relationship YouTube channel. And
listen, I've heard that people enjoy our banters, so...
And then other people are like, these guys have some serious fucking beef. We don't. We wouldn't have... You hang out with anybody twice a week for like a year and watch how you don't bicker. Anyway, your turn.
No, but one of them's probably going to kill the other. It's going to happen.
Possible.
Prophetry.
And Prophetry, after a year,
well,
he'll be welcome, the same way.
Welcome. Gotta join them.
But yeah, no, so that's crazy. It's practically a year. It'll soon be. And
well, we're halfway to 100 shows of Headspace.
yeah, I know, but it's so crazy is Eminem may make it really cool for us as we just passed the year, I think, depending on what rumors are out there. So
Dun, dun, dun.
That would be
that
dope.
November 17th tentative date is pretty fucking sexy is all I'm trying to say. On that note, because Eminem's sort of related.
My soda stream is pretty
Oh,
sexy.
you're right. Let's talk about soda streams. Black cherry cola. And you?
Oh, I'm next? I thought we'd go in like an order that
Well, I mean, I was drinking. My bad. I got cola. Sorry. My fault.
Black cherry version.
fucked everything up, Chris. No,
Clearly.
I'm kidding.
Clearly.
And I actually went with a mix of lime and lemon juice.
With this carbonation.
Yeah.
Wait, you didn't put the vinegar in it?
Nah.
Okay.
It's okay.
I don't know. There's just like healthy thing. You put vinegar
Dude,
in it.
apple
like...
cider vinegar. Anyone out there, I'm telling you one thing. I drink this shit every night before I go to bed, and it increases my digestive abilities like a motherfucker. My entire metabolism almost feels like it increases. It's ridiculously worth doing. Google the health benefits. It's ridiculous.
I hope
The
the
more
audience is
you know.
excited about this as much as I am, because if there's one thing I felt like it was missing in my life, it was Holden's digestive abilities. So I think we're all
more
very
you
happy.
know.
We're all very happy.
Anyway,
to know
guys,
Chris,
if you
what
don't
album
want
is it?
Well, okay, so this week's Headspace album, we decided to go with Yelawolf's Trail by Fire. Wolf. And you know what the deal is, guys. If you don't want to hear the little chitter-chatter about Yelawolf when we
description.
figured it out, hit the description.
Show more is what you would hit.
My bad.
Just show the long part of the description where all the tracks are linked out, and you can click on whatever's down there, and then you can jump ahead to whatever song you care the most about. That's done for your benefit and courtesy.
Sweet. So with that, when did you encounter Yelawolf, actually?
So Yellow's been an interesting one because a few years back, one of my friends, I was telling him about what I liked in hip hop and rap and who I liked and why, and he's like, "Man, you should check out Yelawolf. Like, you know, he's a guy that like a lot of people I've
Sorry
heard
to
of."
cut you. What do you like in hip-hop? Like, what in hip-hop do you like?
I mean,
If we're going
you
to talk
have a
about
year?
Yelawolf... Well, listen.
Like,
we're going to talk
no.
about Yelawolf and what he does. What do you...
So I'm typically more into underground rappers than I am mainstream, and a big part of that for me is that I like artists who are really trying to be artists and who are not trying to clone things that are done but create something different and weird. So, for example, one of my favorite artists is Mad Child, who's like a Canadian underground hip-hop artist from the group Swarm members.
Which is cool, because Canada, what?
Yeah.
And how does that lead on to Yelawolf for you?
Okay, so I was told that Yelawolf is very similar in that he is a very distinct rapper who has a unique style, and despite the fact that he's mainstream, he is not like all of the other people in the mainstream. And at the time I listened to him, and I had mixed feelings. I was like, this guy has a crazy delivery.
Yep.
But listening to him, I didn't get pulled into the songs, and over time that changed a little bit. Like, I think it was his last album. There were a few songs that I heard the single and I saw some of the videos, and I really enjoyed. But I still wasn't fully pulled in, because I went and I listened to some of the other tracks, and it wasn't like a uniform, like every single thing that I hear from him is winning me over. It was more of a, he was a consistently talented individual, but our tastes didn't always overlap. So, there were some songs I liked, and there was a lot that I still wasn't a huge fan of.
Cool.
So that, and then this album being, the first time that I think he really consistently, spoiler alert, won me over. Like, this was
Is this the first album you fully went through?
It's possible that the last one I did as well.
Okay.
But if so, I don't remember it.
Okay. Because for me, this is the first album I've actually sat down and went through for Yelawolf. I caught him up when he was with Trunk Music, Pop the Trunk, back when he did his first what is it, EP album.
Trunk Music or whatever. I don't think
Yeah.
that's nowhere near his first one.
Well,
he's got a longer. He's got like.
That's when I ended up hitting him up there. I followed him a little bit in terms of I really like the fast rap. I really enjoy the triplets and the syllables and the way they cut it up and the chopping. And I really got stuck to him. He's has a crazy voice. I've always liked his voice. I've always liked how he's been very smooth with how he raps, and he can have like this smooth, aggressive type.
So distinct.
Yeah, so distinct, so
distinct.
insane. And this is like I said, this is the first time I've actually sit down and listened to an entire album, and this is really, really impressive to me. Like, and you?
That's a longer part. So, Yelawolf might be my favorite modern rapper, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, when I started rapping, yes, I rap. It was a lot of people thought that I kind of listened to Yelawolf, which was strange to me because I'd never heard of a Yelawolf. And then I started listening to Yelawolf a little bit here and there. Now, unlike Ryan, most of my exposure to rap had been more mainstream due to what I had access to as a younger person, which inhibited my curiosity later on in life until, recently, where now I feel like an idiot.
Cheers.
But Yelawolf was one of those guys that caught my eye, mostly because of not so much the speed, because the speed is often kind of what it is on its own. But Yelawolf had the poetry to back it up, and even when he was next to Gucci Mane or something, he still somehow managed to bring this flair and this style and this passion that was almost unlike anything. Like, you could tell he listened to more than just hip-hop, and he drew influences from all stuff. And then I just kept finding impressive things, like Yelawolf and Ed Sheeran have a freaking EP. I think Yelawolf and Travis Barker have an EP. I think, like, you just go through, and honestly, some of these smaller projects are really great. A lot of his features too, and like Yelawolf appears on a track. It's like these solid, perfect, beautiful verses.
Yep.
But when you go through his albums, it is a little hit or miss in the same way that Ryan was describing. I would agree with that. So he's like a guy that I like. And then I started seeing his Love Story album came out. Album's brilliant. I just don't like country that much. So half the album just didn't appeal to me because there wasn't a whole lot of rap on it, right? And the rap songs, though, like Till It's Gone is my favorite song of, I think, 2015 or 16 or whenever it came out.
Is that the one where there's like a kind of speedboat or whatever?
Yeah,
with the,
yeah.
That's the one that
That's
I was
my,
thinking of when I was talking about dope song.
It was 2015, and it was my favorite song of that year. And honestly, like Best Friend's pretty solid, too. And like they're not, like, excellent, though. But no, sorry, Till It's Gone is excellent. But none of the other ones were truly that excellent. But the thing about Yelawolf is, as an artist and his style, his flow was just so amazing. And I found like it was his poetry ultimately. There's this 8-minute track he released when he was addressing issues like his love for the Confederate flag and those types of things and just his epiphanies and stuff. And you just started to realize that Yelawolf wasn't just a rapper. He was a fucking poet who raps. And it was like, okay, that appeals to like the language geek in me. So I knew that when I was going to listen to Yelawolf, it wasn't just going to be aimless bars, or punny or witty, like relying on punchlines. It's going to be like expressive poetry where he's honestly trying to go down in history with like the greats. Like you could tell this dude has read real poetry and whatnot. And I have always appreciated that in Yelawolf because it helps me become a better writer and a better like artist. So I was really excited for this because I heard all 5 of these singles every one of them before this album came out. I already loved all 5 of the singles before this album came out. Like when I heard Daylight, I was like, oh shit, this is it.
I stumbled upon Daylight actually when I didn't realize it until I heard it play on the album. I was like, yo, I know this, and I made me feel the same way.
I basically followed every single as it came out, plus it on Spotify, and I've listened to each of those singles more than once before even hitting the album. Like I've been saying it for a minute now. This is I liked every single. That never happens. It was crazy to me. Anyway, and then it came out, and we'll get into the album. But first, just the name. Trial by Fire, like you just know something powerful is about to happen. You can feel that this is a personal album just on the name. Like he's gone through some shit and he's ready to express it. And he's past it and he's ready to like share it. Like, oh. And the cover with the burning car, which totally fits his like box Chevy and all that series, where he's very consistently with the cars. So it's just seeing the fire of his. This is so much. It's so well branded.
I have to agree, and I just wanted to kind of reinforce that. Yelawolf here does. He proves a number of things to me all at once in a single album, which is that he has very refined taste. And I say that both in reference to music and to poetry, but also even this album cover and this album title. This is I think the fourth show I'm doing here, and all of the other ones were underwhelming, definitely for the album cover.
Yeah.
And except the Wu-Tang one, I kind of dug.
Yeah, but it was no look. There's a congruency between the name, the album cover, and the character behind it all. We're even just looking at that cover, you almost might go, that might be Yelawolf. Even without it. Like, it almost looks like it had to be his album.
Fair enough.
It's very sharp, yeah.
Well, I feel like at first I saw it really quick, the album, and I thought it was some like medieval type, like Trail by Fire, some type of like ritual type stone with fire type thing. Then I realized it was a car on fire, and that led me to think that Trail by Fire, sometimes people end in a car crash. Some people, they light the car on fire, then they walk away and start their adventure or start their crusade or whatever it is. And it's really cool how the color contrast of the car really speaks as well with the flame. And I really like how he really captures that adventure in it too. So I really thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Good observation,
really
Chris. Good. Very well done. See, we don't hate each other. On that note, we have gone through a trial by fire as we forge the Behind That Suit channel on 50 episodes, motherfuckers.
Doctor, something's burning. I can smell it. And it was trial by fire.
This is fucking great.
Oh my Jesus.
I'm not gonna lie, this is by no means my favorite song on the album. In fact, it's one of my least favorite songs on the album, and the very specific reason for that is I don't really like the country-esque feel of it, or the blues, or whatever it is. They walk into a blues bar.
But objectively, it's your favorite album song?
No, I think it's it's one of the best openers I've encountered in a while. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, this album's called Trial by Fire, so you already have some expectations. It's the title track, so it's the essence of, I guess, some power for this album. And it starts off with Yelawolf, the main DJ, and the main music guy. So these three dudes...
And a host.
Well, basically these three dudes walk into the album. The host sees them, introduces them.
Yeah.
They basically end up saying all their names like 3 or 4 times, driven at home. These are the guys who made the album. And I appreciate that he took the time to name the 2 dudes and let us know right at the very beginning. It was very honorable and nice of him.
Well, it's very hip-hop as well. I mean...
And then just the subject matter of this fucking song and for this freestyle he's kicking, his mom gives birth to him, right? And this basically creates all sorts of crazy like environmental chaos, ultimately leading to a third verse that kind of introduces where he's at like right now, kind of
acknowledging that like his past and his experiences have built him to where he is,
and that he was meant to change some shit, that he is ready. It's almost like you get this sense of triumph and accomplishment by the time there's that third verse, but you also get the sense that this is in for a bumpy ride.
But I do want to sit on the point that I like how he named the album Trial by Fire and he started with the title song, and especially how it presents him being like his mother gave birth to him and he's growing up, and then where he is on the third verse. I really like that as an intro track because it's starting the story. It's starting the trial. It's
honestly kind of like Biggie or some of the other greats on how they would start their albums with
Biggie had his like his whole life kind of play out a little bit.
Yeah, he had a whole track, a whole verse where he came out the vagina and everything. So I do feel like there's a certain degree of paying homage to the roots of hip hop in the way he approached that. But even then, as an album storytelling, you're right. But it's just his flow. It's amazing. Already.
Hold on. But the flow is, and I think this set me off the first time The flow is very unique.
It's more of a spoken word flow
Yes,
at first.
but it's like
and
it's
then
spoken word.
by the
that-
end of the song, he's in full yelling, Yelawolf. Like he gets so aggressive and energized and passionate.
But he's
by the
not.
end.
But I don't feel like he's rapping. I feel like it's just aggressive spoken word, flowed,
which is fair.
flowed. But I don't think it's rapping. I don't
But
feel like there's a.
He has that Yelawolf
Yes,
language, poetry,
yes.
and anyway, Ryan, say something. It's your jump in, converse.
So, I mean, right away he sets the tone for this album with what feels distinctly different for productions for a hip hop album. Holden kind of mentioned it sounds a little country. I would say it's kind of like a country rock sound, right? You've got some acoustic and electric guitar. There's a country rock feel to it. Keyboard and organ comes in a little bit later. It feels really rocky. So this is
on that
spoiler.
blues end of rock, not the other side.
Yeah.
Well, just to put into context though, it does also sound like they're in a bar.
Yeah, no.
No, they
So
are.
they have
We've
that
established-
like.
that's definitely.
Well, no, I'm just trying to say that like the music itself also kind of gives you that feel.
Yes, they have captured the essence of being in a live environment.
Yes.
A little bit in the mixing.
I mean, that's a great opening, right? Because you have him walking in, and it's just like he's starting a show, right?
Yeah.
Which, in a sense, he is. The album is going to be like a full show. They're setting the mood and the tone. They're putting it in an environment that is, distinctly, not where you'd expect hip hop to be. It does feel very country and rocky, and then, the build-up's great. His poetry is great. He uses language in a really unique way with heavy imagery, and I mean. Just some of the things like, talking in the first verse during his birth about how the doctor looked at him and he had a look in his eyes as a baby that looked like mischief, and it's just like little things that add this flavor to the storytelling. Now, one of the things I was really interested in looking at this album, and I don't have the answer, so maybe someone can add it in the comments if you know, or maybe one of you guys know. I've noticed that, one, Yelawolf is the sole credited producer for this album, if you look at Wikipedia. Two, there's a bunch of other credits aside from him for the writing. So the things that I'm wondering are, did he have co-writers for this album? And also, did some of those co-writers also co-produce? Or did he just solely produce this thing by himself?
Well, for sure, they're going to let us know in the comments below.
Actually, I would say.
But I'm hopping on Holden's
Hold
point.
on. There's the DJ guy, right? That's introduced here, who's part of the album production team, and then
Right.
there's the music guy, who's to his left and his right. So these guys are all collectively sharing the creative process, and I know that the music guy was involved. Like, I don't know. I've been. You know what? There's a couple of interesting videos on ghostwriting and collaborations. I think Hip Hop DX just released one, or it was Justin Hunt or one of those guys.
Well, they
Link it
both
below.
did.
Either way, I'm gonna link them below because it's kind of related to it. So it might just be a collaborative effort between these three fellows, and that's part of why they're sharing credits. But yeah, if y'all could let us know, that would be dope too. Because you don't have to do that every time.
It's my thing. If I don't, they're gonna hate me.
I digress. I think this is a super strong opener, and if the beat
Yeah.
had been more in tune with my liking, I'd be giving it a perfect mark. But I have to leave this a 4, and I would love to go further into it, but there's a lot more album, and I have a lot to say, so 4.
Well, I gave this a 4.5 on 5. I thought this was great on how Look, I'll be honest. I'm used to Yelawolf chopping up bars and spitting quick and getting all these freaky deaky flows. And when he came up with this, I was just like blown away in terms of an intro track
Did
because
you not listen to Love Story?
Nope.
Yeah, because he basically sang half that album.
That's
there.
probably why.
Like, we're talking full-on singing, no rapping track.
No, and again, he does an amazing job of that, I can say. But
You didn't hear it.
well, I know he can do an amazing job. I heard this album.
Yes, it was.
So,
anyway, go on.
I would give it a 4.1, personally.
Okay.
I think that it's a really strong opener, it feels like an introduction. There's also some really great poetry in there. I'm a bit with Holden in the sense that, this isn't necessarily the music style I'd normally listen to, but at the same time, it's refreshing for me as a hip-hop head to hear something different.
That's what I'm trying to say. The refreshingness of being new is just awesome,
It's
and
just-
I get you
If
on the
you
whole
then compare it
country.
against other tracks even on this album, I can't give it a higher mark.
But every track on this
Yeah,
album
that's fair.
kind of has that
Oddly enough,
country feel.
This is one of my least favorite songs on the album. I like this song a lot. I fucking think it's a strong opener, but that's how much more I like what's coming next. Like, as an
That's very
example,
fair.
this song is just in the shadows of the competition.
Shape, the sound of a faint voice, lost and full of hate. Dry leaves grow.
So I just have to make this comparison. What I noticed while we were doing Shadows. Now today I also, you're gonna see this tomorrow for me, but today I also recorded a Weezer review. And I noticed that Rivers Cuomo does this thing where he couples abstract lines together to create imagery without really concretely tying the ideas together. And because Ryan wrote lyrics down, I didn't want to be alone. And I wanted him to feel like he was the only guy doing this anymore, right? So, but it was just stuff like cigarette butts and oil stains on the dying grass, the smell of the liquor rising up from the broken glass. And it's just like the next line will be another couplet, just painting another. That's the imagery he's kind of describing.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that it's almost as if you're just in this chair that he's sitting in, and you're looking around in his room, and you're just feeling this context. This song explores this fucking deep ass shit too, right? Like,
Well,
not even
it's very personal and honest, and to an extent, no, I'm reaching here, but to an extent, it's very relatable. The song breaks down.
It relatable.
Very relatable, but I don't want to say relatable as in like you can identically relate to what he's doing. I'm saying that the terms of what he's talking about, I think people have.
Basically, the crux of the song is to become
what you feared as a child,
and whatnot. So it's almost like, oh, I'm never gonna be like my parents, and you end up developing all their worst traits.
But I don't.
anyways,
I also
and that
took
kind
it
of shit.
differently. I also took it as like
But-
you grow up like I'll never do drugs and then something.
That's the exact same thing.
Right.
So, and then he kind of contextualizes these things he saw as a kid, being around all these bikers in this environment. Like, I think it's got lines like heroin needles passed openly, and it's just this world he saw. And then he's older in the next verse. Is again, it's kind of like
He's growing up. He's like presenting his experiences.
yeah, and then
at pivotal points.
And then, like, as he gets there, and then in the third verse, he's just admitting and acknowledging that he has, in fact, just somehow ended up at this exact same place that he was trying to avoid the whole time.
Go.
I just want to, like, it's, this song grabbed me, and this was the moment in the album where I was like, oh shit. So, first of all, the productions, it's got this opening with this acoustic guitar. It's kind of dark and haunting.
Yeah.
There's some choral kind of singing, moaning in the background. There's a change up at the bridge to include a cello or some string that's a little bit deeper and temporarily
Which
drop
is
the
all
acoustics.
the same music guy, according to Genius.
And it's got this crazy ass acousticy bass in the background. It's really good production. But then, and just to mention the video for a second, this is one thing that stays constant throughout this album. Yelawolf uses great imagery.
Yes,
if there's
sir.
one thing he does really well in his writing, it's use of imagery.
He knows how to capture darkness a lot. He knows how to really play on that like gloomy. What you said,
let it put it
slum.
like this. It's okay. Like, this was what really struck me in the third verse. 50 Harleys behind me, they all ready to slaughter. Drunk in front of my sons, drunk in front of my daughter. Spit, cuss, and I yell. It's like a one-sided quarter, because I'm only heads up no matter which way you flip it or whatever. And like, the problem with quoting him, unfortunately, is you can't even take one line. It's so
Yes.
like...
Yeah, 100%. This is the sign of a good writer, right? Because Holden and I had discussed that before the show. It's very challenging. Most hip-hop artists do not succeed at this, but to be good, you need to write lines that by themselves are distinct and kind of pop out, but they also fit into the greater whole. Yelawolf is really good at doing
amazing.
this. He's
But,
really good at doing
I
this.
like, I'm not trying to discredit anything, but I like how he has the control of being able to tell the story, but making you feel a different way.
Right, because you got that beat coming in, which definitely sets the context. And then the way he's delivering it is different than the last track. It's like, and the cigarette gang. And he's got this, like, I know I'm doing it terribly, but this kind of laid back, calm, pensive feel to it. Like, he wants you to know, you can picture him in the rocking chair. But then you get this Joshua Hedley guy that just has this eerie voice where it's like, it's almost creepy with
But
the way
hold
he
on,
does
hold
it.
on. Eerie and creepy, but comforting.
But yeah, like,
And that's the creepy part about it. Like
Right.
you can it's kind of like hearing it is like you get the pain, but at the same time you don't want to let his voice
There's
go.
a matter of acceptance in it as well. Like he knows where he's at with it. It's not just lost. It's like he's trying to share with you, and it's just so captured beautifully. Look, this song is one of many 5s I gave out on this album. It is well placed single. It got me further hyped for it. And so far, it has lived up to my expectations. I mean, there's 2 tracks in. I'm pretty stoked for the next one.
I just want to catch on, and this is gonna be a theme that I keep doing throughout this entire album, but this is a follow-up to the next track for me. I feel like the placement through this album is very particular, plays very meticulously to give a direct message and give an exact experience. And coming from explaining on Trial by Fire, my bad. He explains where he was born and kind of what he went through a little bit in this, and now he's kind of reminiscing about all the experiences and how he's kind of grown to be like that. And I feel like each and part of this is going to continue to kind of overlap on for the next one.
Sure.
So it's crazy.
I mean, I don't know how. I got the sense that there was a general tone to it, but I don't know if it's a direct. Anyway.
I'm not trying to say that it's a
What
direct
did you give it?
connection. Oh, I gave it a 5.
It's also very Halloween suitable. There's this distinctly haunted sense on this song, both in the voice and in the melody, but also in the lyrics. We have lines like "Dry leaves crumble under the feet of the reaper. The limbs tap at my window like the nails of a creature." There and this again, painting a scene, and this is why, as I was trying to say before, the video falls a little short. Not because it's bad. The video is fine, but the problem is that with words, he paints a better picture than the video does with actual visual footage.
I think it's because he wants you to see what he sees in terms of like
but
where
what we're saying is that it's not possible for him to create a video that can convey the imagery.
No, but that's what I'm trying to defend. That's what I'm trying to defend. When I see the video and I put the lyrics with the video, I see Yelawolf in his house, in his room, doing his thing. Hold on. Fine, but I think you have to listen to it with the video and everything because no.
I'm literally like the art. We're saying that the language employed is better than the video does not do it justice.
Yes, and what I'm trying to say is that when you watch the video with the lyrics and the vocals going, you can kind of see how Yelawolf is trying to present that this is his reality. It's just this kitchen, but when he's explaining through the lyrics, for me, I guess just how my imagination goes, I can kind of see what he's seeing, the Grim Reapers walking through his house, and kind of just showing you the contrast of how he sees the world and what he really lives in.
So I would actually disagree in the sense that, like, perhaps that is somewhat, what inspired him. But I, again, just feel like the video falls so short of being able to live up to those lyrics.
Just to add to that, you're inhibiting your imagination by letting those details of the video tell you what the landscape is instead of just letting your imagination actually do its job. And when you do that, it's like you get this whole sense of like whatever you want to see with it, and it's so specific. These like flashes, it almost creates this story. Whereas he had a budget and a timeline and storyboard, so he had to use the setting. And that setting is very fitting for the song. Yeah. But the song is so much more than that little cramped vision of it. I agree with you entirely, man.
Just one more excerpt. I know we've done a lot on this one, but the rain-soaked...
It's only 9 minutes.
The rain-soaked teddy bear so heavy I can't lift it. The flask for the moonshine, I watch as they all sip it. The Halloween pumpkin candle lit with a pentagram. The grandfather clock with a broken minute hand.
Bro.
It's like, fuck, that's
now
good.
Your brain can take those words and fill in a whole picture that with the video you're not going to do. Because that's my problem with watching TV shows versus reading books. Which, anyway.
The video can show, like, one scene at a time, whereas each of these lines is painting a new scene, and I can't keep up with it.
It's one of my favorite parts of Yelawolf is that. What did you give it, though?
I gave it a 5.
Awesome. So, get mine. So, first of all, I know many people don't like Kid Rock. Apparently, he has a bad reputation. Be that as it may, this is an excellent fucking chorus. Okay?
It is.
I don't care what anyone says, but engine number 9 on that Mason-Dixie line, chasing whiskey, sipping shine, gripping nickel-plated nines. So you'll get yours and I'll get mine. You'll get yours, and then it freaks the fuck out. Like, look, it didn't. The first time I heard this song, it was like, what the fuck? And then I started listening, and it just kind of grew on me a lot more and more, which is good because it was a single, so I had some time to hear this one. And then Yelawolf explodes over what may as well be some fucking Beastie Boys mid-'80s.
Yes, that's exactly what I took.
Like Rick Rubin himself came from 1985 to produce this album, and I was just like, this is some homage shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is a throwback to an older time. Plus, it also has kind of that older, punchier Kid Rock sound from like back when Kid Rock started rapping, like in like the earlier shit. And then at the same time, he kind of lyrically seems to compare drug dealing to his lyrical prowess, which in and of itself was very hip hop. And I kind of appreciated how he created that like comparison. And it didn't feel like he was a drug dealer so much as he described drug dealing, but really he was talking about how good he was with rapping.
But he's also kind of alluding to the fact that there are certain things that he had to do compared to other people that he had to get his, you know?
Then all of a sudden you're like feeling this high punch thing, and it's like, wait, hold up a second. Give the DJ some love, and
that was beautiful.
Flips.
And that was I've never heard anything so beautiful, to tell you the truth. Okay, maybe that's a little too much.
Feel like you say
maybe that's
some
too
things
much.
sometimes.
I do maybe say some things sometimes, but I like how it's one, again,
it's cool.
He went from one feel to a completely different feel just to give shout out to the DJ.
But then he does his little spinny thing, and then all of a sudden it flips into a different version of that first beat, and he's rapping on a different flow.
More funkier. It's got this.
Plays out. The song evolves. I believe there's a third verse. I might be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong. Either way, it just plays out. Kid Rock kills the chorus still. I like how, like, in that last line, you can hear Yelawolf and Kid Rock kind of screaming back and forth at each other. The line, like, you get yours, and I don't know. There's something about the energy of this track that's truly delightful.
Well, even them performing together, they have really good dynamic in general.
They do have good chemistry, yeah.
I mean, whether or not you like Kid Rock doesn't change the fact that this is a pretty fucking great song. Ryan, what did you think?
So this production starts off right. We've got some pretty on drums. This wacky-ass organy electric guitar in the background. I actually thought it was an organ at first, and I listened to it a little bit more, and I actually think it's an electric guitar that just sounds kind of organy because there's these bends in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then there's this another clearly distinct electric guitar. And what I draw at this point of the song, or this point of the album when I'm listening, is, we get the sense that Yelawolf is a little more versatile than a lot of other rappers, right? Just talking even about the production here. Because I was always under the impression that he had a unique, distinct vocal style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really good thing. That's a thing that a lot of rappers, most rappers, are missing. But... and lyrics, I also was aware that he had, but knowing he produced every song in this album to some degree, was involved in it, that gives me a lot bigger appreciation for him than I had. And I just want to say, it's not typical hip hop. It's really what would happen if hip hop had kind of an orgy with rock and roll and a church choir group that was high on acid at the same time.
No, you cannot interject his musical orgy.
I just got to interject one thing here. It's also the third distinct way Yelawolf has approached rapping on a song. So each one of these has been its own unique flow, its own unique experience, and not one of these songs is short. They're all almost 5 minutes long practically. I mean, a couple are a little shorter. But just to show that Yelawolf isn't just able to flip up the style, flip up the content, but keep his songwriting consistent enough to write full-length, long, well-developed songs. Whereas a lot of these rappers, I find, are doing 3-ish minute songs across the board, and etc. And it's not just the song; it's an experience for each. I really love this album. It's another 5 for me on this one. I don't know if you feel free to add more. I just had to interject.
I dropped a solid 5 on this track. Wow. I think that they really, really, they're very distinct on how they're playing both sides of somebody's getting their own, but you can't judge me on getting mine. Like, I gotta do what I gotta do, And
it still gives you that. Like, first of all, it starts off with a train, and it kind of gives you this imagery of these guys in this old Western times,
Like
with this-
bandits a little bit.
and that and he kind of consistently portrays himself as like this character, this bad dude, the whole way through, but not necessarily that he's just what he has to do. Like, you put it best. Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't think I dug it as much as you guys, which isn't to say I don't think it's really distinct and great. For me, it's just doesn't fully fit my style musically, but I really respect this song. I think it did a great job. I'd give this, a 4.2, and I just want to, point out for a second that that he has a call out to Ritz, who we also reviewed Ritz's most recent album.
Because they're buddies.
They are buddies, apparently. So Yelawolf and Ritz.
Well, they used to, because like I was
Ritz
saying
was on
earlier,
Slumerican for a while.
Ritz hopped on Slumerican. And
anyway, so they're buddies.
And then like Ritz called out like Strange because they were buddies.
Wait, is that Ritz's new label?
No. This is before. Like,
okay.
Yeah, he was on
It's
Slumerican, then he went to Strange, then he
Yeah.
just left Strange and he's doing something else.
So so it's all that to say, son of a gun.
You ever did right? The gunpowder to your drum.
Spoiler alert.
What?
Chicka Slim Shady. I'm sorry, I just had to throw it out.
No. Like, I mean, I'd be surprised if most of the audience didn't have a similar experience listening to it. The first thing I thought listening to this is like Eminem in his peak quality.
Yes, and
Very
the beat felt like Dre made it. It felt like a Dre beat.
You know what? I think it felt different, but there was a similar.
No, but like,
you're right. There's a feel to it that is
like it was
that
just
is-
that era. Like, it came from that place. On top of that, okay. And then it's just the subject matter. Like, he's reflecting on his youth, how he describes himself like a son of a gun based on his reputation and stuff. Like,
Well,
there's this one lyric that really got me. I never knew my daddy, but they said that I was the same, and what a shame. Here come the cocaine in the heavier rain. And I'm just like, wow. Because that's the difference. See, what I appreciated about this song is that it doesn't rely on shock humor. It relies on honesty and personal pain to fuel it. And so instead of coming off with like this like, oh, he uses drugs, you're like, Yelawolf had to use cocaine because of this. Like, it was almost like he had no choice. And like, you almost get this like serious empathy and connection to him over it. And like, the chorus is, it's a fucking, it could have been Eminem who wrote this song. Like, I really feel like that, not to say that it's disrespectful to anyone.
That might be a little bit why I felt a little off.
Because he is on Shady Records, so one would assume that they have influence on each other.
I'll say this, right? You can see the inspiration, but that's not to say that it feels like he is copying Eminem.
Agreed.
This feels like Yelawolf owns it.
Yes.
This is his unique style, but it has some of that heart-wrenching like pain that we can feel for Eminem in some of his songs that are a little bit more high in that empathy and the toughness in his life. This song is about Yelawolf's relationship with his father, I believe, right?
Well, it's because his father's not there. And then how people kind of kept saying, like, I mean, for me, it was like, I took it like, it was about the reputation of his family and how he was almost, because of who his father was, he was forced into certain things. And I can highly relate to that. Like, my dad developed a bad reputation at the church we used to go to, so we had to all sit in the back because of my dad, right? So I kind of got this sense of connection to where he's coming from. And I like how he manages to just keeps tying everything to like this aging process, right? Mm-hmm. So it's never just, it's like him as a youngin', then him as like a teenager, and then him later on in life as he's kind of come to terms with it. And that general formula, being able to manifest it in so many ways and keep it so distinct is cool. I mean, for me, this one was a little less impressive, but still as heartfelt and great. And I give this one a 4.5 on 5, because don't get me wrong, this might be my favorite album this year, and we're only 4 tracks in, was my feeling. Spoiler alert, at the end of the album, this might be my favorite fucking album this year. This is really great. I'm still enthralled. Like, 4 tracks, 4 amazing tracks in a row? How often does that even fucking happen? My biggest grievance with the first track was genre. That's not even a problem.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
This song is pretty amazing. I'm just going to put it out there. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I don't really have much to say about this song. I like the beat. I love the chorus. It's the way he can flip from aggressive to soft. The tones are direct and melodic, and it just goes. He has so much control on his voice that is ridiculous. But I don't have much to say on this because I feel like I feel like I haven't studied it enough a little bit. I feel like I missed out on a little bit, and I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I missed out on some points because you guys, both of you are talking about his father, which I did see that, but I also took different points in terms of...
We actually came at it different. I felt it was more about the impact of his father's reputation on their family and how that shaped his existence.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's not fully about his father, but there's real heavy allusions in there.
Okay,
too.
because
So-
I got this like... this feel like he's been the opposite of everything. Like when you're supposed to be good, he's bad. When you're supposed to eat,
But
he's
that's
not.
because
like,
he was like a product of his environment. He was
that too.
Right.
Like he's a product of his environment. I wrote it down. I wrote he's a product of his environment, and we all are because we kind of grow up seeing what's around us, and we're kind of
saying we're agreeing. Awesome. So what'd you give it
And
up?
so I gave this song a 5, and for me, there's like so much to talk about. This like, first of all, you know, the subtle intro's nice. I think it sounds kind of like a xylophone. I'm not really sure, but there's this kind of like soft melody that's emotional right away, and it sets the tone. And then we get these subtle electric guitar strokes that come in later that kind of emphasize the hard emotion in this emotionally kind of heart-wrenching song, right? But it's just really great production. But then he comes through with this phenomenal storytelling, you know.
It's gorgeous.
We get these lines like, you know, and this is a problem. I think we mentioned this earlier, but you know, quoting him on this album is so difficult because you don't
Just do
know
it.
where you don't know
Do
where to
it.
stop.
Just do it, dude.
So like the
Just
third
read the verse.
the third verse, right? It has this huge chunk that's like, the truth examined and recreated, the following's real. Plenty of fatherless children fill up the pit in the building. Using the mind for the feeling, it's just like popping a pill and I'm taking it in. Lost at making a win. Thanks for the poems that you inspired and I'm raking it in. Never heard you say, give me a 5, so make it a 10. Think of the chances I'm balling, look at the bastard of him. When I went to jail for the first time, thought about you. Son of a bitch, I admit it, guess the rumors were true. Cause when I look in the mirror...
Hold on, I think we might get cut. The copyright. I don't know how long we can do this. Is this fair use and shit? If you know about that, are we allowed to just like spit the track? Is that fair use?
let us know in the
I mean,
comments below. Right?
I can't imagine that they...
I know. But just for the sake of curiosity, not to cut you off. I mean, dude, the whole... All I have to say, as you can see, the entire verse is fucking great. And yeah, I don't actually know about the fair use thing. So if somebody does know and you have more subscribers, I want to know. And
But yeah, that's fair. Just to say that he's got this great writing style that's really conducive to both pushing a narrative and keeping on theme, while at the same time having lines have kind of these distinct purposes in progressing that stand alone, you know. And that's one of the things about Yelawolf. You come halfway into a Yelawolf song and you miss the first half, it doesn't matter because he's very quickly going to pull you into that narrative anyway and get you on,
But
even though you missed all this other
it's
stuff.
also because he makes a lot of
actually
connections.
Right. I had that moment where one of the songs I kind of dozed off. I missed the first verse. It may not have been this one. I came at the second verse and I did pick a song, and that applies.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, counter it. Be a Debbie Downer.
No.
What'd you give it?
I gave this a 4.5 on 5.
You?
What are you talking
I gave it
about?
a 4.5 and 5 as well.
No, I give it a 5. This is a 5
See,
for me.
I didn't feel like it was a 5 just because I felt it was a little too on the person. Like, okay, this is going to sound a little strange. As much as I love a personal song, this is not something like Shadows is an everyday song. I could listen to that all the time. Something like this is a little bit more like I have to be in a particular mood to hear it because it is so I don't know how to describe it better than it's really just very succinct and personal to his life, whereas something like Shadows is more relatable in a granular sense. And I think to me that's an interesting distinction, and it's personal. This is all subjective.
Look.
It's not about the quality of songwriting or anything. It's just why I didn't give it a 5.
Look, to tell you the honest truth, I think you need to be a ride or die fan to really have to go back to this.
Oh, you
Wow.
came in with one.
I so disagree.
With me?
No, with him, you have to be a ride or die fan.
You offered a place to stay until I could find my way. You helped me go find a gig.
So, like, I just said some shit about personal songs and stuff, but, like, this shit's a tearjerker, motherfucker. So, like, I don't care what
See
you're
what I'm saying?
All I gotta say is
This man's
he
crying
comes in
up on
about his,
things.
like, friend, bro.
I thought it was his uncle.
No, the first one was his friend.
Okay, so there's 3
And his-
people.
No, there's 2 verses. Two things happen. So the first verse is about this specific person who they were ride or die with. They got clipped on like some weed and went to jail for a minute. Then they went to their separate ways, and he cleaned up his life. He did his whole fucking thing right and proper, and then basically helped Yelawolf out during Yelawolf's darker times and always believed in him and shit. And Yelawolf was just saying like thank you and shit with this ride or die-ness. And the second verse was a little more on like, now that he's got fame, he can't see his family and friends so much, and he's kind of got more this like, now that it's here and it's finally happened. It's finally after a decade happened. After a decade happened, that he is fucking in this grind of like pushing it, and then he calls out his uncle who gave him that first $1,000 he didn't even have. Just and now he's got like, oh man, and you know why I feel like this? Because Yelawolf made me feel like this. Yelawolf's appreciation and the heartfelt, sincere nature he did this, it moved me.
I want to take a moment to just express that Yelawolf on this track really knows, even though that the stories are specific to Yelawolf experiences, if you really take a moment to sit back and really think about your ride or dies or your friends or your main people, the people you really look at, this, I guarantee you this is going to touch you in some way, whether it's like your family member or somebody you really feel close to.
This is more like the story of Thanksgiving. In the sense of what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you reflect on who has helped you and offer appreciation, is what I got from this.
So
Brian?
Now it's my turn to come in and be the Debbie Downer in this situation.
Oh, here we go. It's over. You're banned. You're not coming back next week. It's done.
This is my least favorite track on the album, which isn't to say it is terrible. For me, the lyrics on this are quite good. I think pretty consistently throughout the album, the lyrics are good. That being said, I think that this is the weakest production so far in the album.
He's the music guy.
And the piano keyboard is fine. The drums are really one of the things that throws it off for me. I felt like it was a little too electronic and mechanical, and there was a bit of a lack of humanity to them in this song that is supposed to be evoking this feeling of humanity. And it comes across in the result, just musically, feeling to me like it's a little bit too much of a like corny love song sound. So Yelawolf does a good job with the lyrics, but for me, it's just not enough to redeem what I find the weakest production on the album, and so I would give this a 4.
4.5, because it's totally not perfect due to things like the beat not being as enthralling as other ones.
4.5.
Alright, I'm happy that there's a Struggle Speaks interlude next, because that had no joke.
Sings 15-minute phone calls. Press 5 when it...
Song is really an interlude of like some twangy guitars going, and it's really like he sounds kind of old almost, and he's just describing, it's like the mission statement or the mantra of the album in like one little minute and a bit, right?
Right. Which
stands out when all the songs are pretty much long. And it's just describing almost the hardships and how he it's like you almost picture him as a sword going from being ugly ass metal to a beautiful ornate object. I feel like he conveys that pretty well. It's slower paced, it's calmer poetry. He again for the third or fourth time says "trial by fire," which is it. The fact that it's well placed and not overused. I don't think it's
Yelawolf who's saying this though.
I think it is.
I think it's somebody. I think it's like a snippet of somebody. He doesn't sound like Yelawolf.
I think it's Yelawolf, but like trying to sound old.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this interlude other than, I really like it. It's basically poetry spoken over bending strings, and it sounds very country, but it fits with the album and with Yelawolf's style, and I like it, and I give it a 4.25.
I give it a 4.5 because I think it's well placed on the album. It's not unpleasant to listen to in any way, and the way it flows into the following song is beautiful because it kind of ends up, and it's like, and would you give it a grade?
3.5.
And it kind of ends up on like this daylight comment.
About your top nacho, I'm living life like there is a tomorrow. I'm slow motion, I'm slow.
Alcohol and rain, that's how grown man do.
Yeah.
Seriously, this song is, I believe, the first single that got released off this album.
Yep, I stumbled upon it about like a year and a half ago.
I fell in love right away. And I'll tell you where I fell in love. I can write it down. I just, to start, drinking till I'm heavily faded. All of a sudden, the suds I'm simming got me feeling educated. I complicate the uncomplicated. My drinking partners are the greatest. Me and my buddy Jack Davis, Daniels, whatever. We Jimmy Beeman, and he goes on from there. But my point is, it just, you feel him getting drunk in the lyrics, making standard drunk man mistakes while delivering it perfectly eloquent. It's just, it's so,
Yeah.
like, this is his
The
love song to
creativity
alcohol.
behind this song.
The love-hate relationship with alcohol that he has conveyed through this beautifully illustrated moment that's probably the regular day for him in his routine with his good friend Whiskey.
Yeah. So let's open up with the production for a second.
You do your thing.
The acoustic guitar, you know, we've seen a lot of that in the album. There's, I think, correct me, someone in the comments below, correct me on this. If I feel like it's a fiddle that's being played here. Let me know if I'm wrong on that and what you think it would be. But I've got to say that the if it is a fiddle, whatever it is, it's great. It sets the tone so well. You've got this soft opening, it picks up, there's these nice bends in the string. I love the percussion. There's kind of this clappy sound that almost sounds a bit like horses' hooves hitting the ground.
I get that.
And then you've got, I don't know, the production is dope. And then the lyrics are also great, and the whole discussion of alcohol.
And then there's the multiple styles of delivery that come in. So he's got like he manages to use this voice modulation that makes it just sound cool. Alcohol, and just like subdues it all. He's
Chopped
got,
and
like,
screwed.
Then there's just daylight. Whoa, the way he starts the song, right? Just with that, and he ends it with that same little vocal bit that just kind of gives you off this kind of. It just puts you out in the middle of nowhere. Just kind of feeling it. And, you know, you can just picture him isolated.
It puts you out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night.
There's rain in this beat, too.
It puts you out in the middle of nowhere.
Is this the one that has rain in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And the music video has rain for it as well.
But I mean, even in the song, and you can you can almost hear, because he says like the rain on the tin roof or whatever, and you can almost hear it. Oh.
Yeah, it fits really well. And I mean, one thing worth noting here, I don't know if someone slipped this in when I wasn't paying attention, but apparently Yelawolf is kind of a bit of an admitted alcoholic. He has said in the past that God himself could not control my drinking. It's an admitted I'm an admitted alcoholic, and it's a problem. And so, you know, this song is very interesting in a number of ways because it sounds kind of like a love song to alcohol. But the thing I find fascinating about it is that the lyrics, in a sense, would make you question if it's a good thing, but the production is energized. It feels like the production is very symbolically representative of how he feels about alcohol. It's that thing that gets him charged up.
Well,
we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again.
If you think about it, when you start drinking, you're having a great old time. Depending on who you are, you get into that slump mode. Now, as Yelawolf clearly states in this song, he only drinks when the rain's out so that he can get into that slump mode, so that he can be depressed. That's part of the thing here that I wanted to touch upon. Yelawolf is having this love-hate relationship with alcohol, but I think it's also this love-hate relationship with his emotions and wanting to feel bad. I think that's part of his fight with alcohol, because when he drinks, he gets depressed, but he's drinking to be depressed.
Yeah, but this song is not
drinking to forget.
No, it's clearly saying I get loaded to get down, and I'm taking get down as like on my luck, on like I'm trying to get down on my scent.
Taking from it,
but the song is not depressive in tone,
right?
Which is why it's so interesting.
To me,
you know?
it's more like addiction, like you're saying, and it's like the way you described it made total sense. It's like he requires alcohol to be a proper person. And it's when he like thinks about the fact that he can't function without getting drunk. He doesn't even want people to show up at his house unless they're coming with drinks. Like, it's to that extent, right? Like,
yeah, and he's really not trying to make us feel like, oh no, poor him, alcohol sucks. Really, like, the tone is a little bit more the opposite, right?
It's more honest.
It's like, I like this thing. He got me laughing at one of the lines where he's like, alcohol and rain, now that's what grown men do. You keep it 100. I keep 100 proof. That line is great. It's a great line.
Or like, call me what you want, but don't call past 2.
Well, the 100 proof is actually a double entendre as well, because he's also being real, like he's 100.
Sure.
So it was pretty cool.
And okay.
I gave the song a 5, by the way.
Yeah, this is a clear 5.
You know,
to me, it's a clear 5. I understand addiction, and it captures the essence of being a functional addict really, really, really well, and how you feel with whatever your addiction is.
I'm gonna give it a 4.8. just because, not because it's bad. It's like there's nothing I'd really complain about here. It's a phenomenal song. It's just that for me, it didn't hit me, as hard as some of those other songs that we've listened to.
Okay.
And that's one of the challenges I think that Yelawolf has in this.
He's not as much of an addict as I am.
This is one of the challenges that Yelawolf has in this album, is that it's so good that he's almost just consistently competing with himself.
That's fair.
That's
And
a
I
that's
think
a
he
good
killed it on
thing.
this one.
That's a good thing to do, though. I think that if you have to compare an artist to themselves on an album, I think that's a good standpoint to have.
I think
It's
you
a really
tend
good
to.
standpoint.
Well, hold on. I think in most cases you do in fact compare artists to themselves on an album, just because we do that. Anyway, "Do for Love." "Do for Love" is the next song.
Sorry.
Yo, honestly, I mean, one of the things that I think it's worth evaluating on an album is the ability to like keep it different and to keep it fresh, and he manages to take a timeless subject that's obviously been done a bunch, but put his own fresh perspective on it while also placing it eloquently into this album. The song's called "Do for Love," and it questions what you would do for love, and the hook is amazing.
It's really great. Yeah.
And
The hook is great.
but if you think about it for the purposes of this album of Trial by Fire, you just imagine what you're going to have to do. That is part of your trial. And so far, every song on this album has been, to some degree or another, a trial or a
different trial,
tribulation. So yes, Chris, they all tie into each other. I don't know if it was so linearly. But in this track, what is it? It starts off with some broke guy, and he's just hustling, working on these jobs and stuff. And it's just the way he describes stuff. Like, he has to, like, yeah, but there's no money for bills and rents, and the kid's birthday's coming up. So, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take a mask and do what I got to do, right? And
Well, that's the last verse, technically.
that's the first verse. That's how the first verse ends. And then the second verse is this stripper mom, drug dealer lady going through it all. But the kid's, like, old enough to know what's up. But she's got to kind of handle the situation and do what she's got to do. And then in the third verse... then she lost her virginity, had the kid young, etc. Blah blah blah, and yeah, it was pretty good. I don't actually know if there was a third verse. If there was,
There is not a third verse. The reason
There's
why
just
I
those
think
two
there's
verses.
a third verse is because when I was listening to the song, I feel like there's this type of vibe or feel that this song is supposed to have, and you go through the first one, you go through the second one, and then I feel like on the third one, the reason why there's a distinct woohoo really kind of subtly placed in the background makes you think and have that feeling, and it's kind of like,
is
what
there a
would
third
you
verse?
There is no third verse.
Okay.
You kind of create the way that I did it. I basically created my own third verse in terms of what I would do for love.
Okay.
I feel like Yelawolf.
Which makes it pretty cool.
That's right. I feel like Yelawolf kind of was like, these are two stories, and now I want you to think about what you would do, make it more interactive with his fans, and I think this was really, really great.
I also feel like it's a bit of a plea for understanding another side of the fence that other people might not really fully get. And I think that a lot of Yelawolf's music is this exploration into a social class that doesn't get a lot of recognition, like Redneck America, let's say. Being super poor and white, as an example. It's not the same experience, and he's not giving the same experience. He's giving his version of it, which is super interesting in terms of, I don't know, not to like go there with it exactly, but I dug this track. I give it a 4.5. It's not perfect, but I do think it is pretty damn interesting.
Go.
For me, this is one of my favorite songs on the album, and I feel like I have a lot of favorite songs on this album because this is a very tight album. But this song is excellent. You know, the production's very, very good and sets the tone for just this really great storytelling experience that I find it's magnetic. It just stands out, and that hook just complements it perfectly. In terms of what would you do for love, kind of makes you ask yourself, you know, a father who robs a store and goes to jail and basically fucks his life up, a mother who sells drugs and strips. What would you do for love? I don't know, man. That's some heavy shit.
And then if you think about the Chris Chrome Inception extension to this track, what would you do? I'm just adding to it. I'm validating Chris again, right? No, it was an interesting idea. I
think that the way I just really like the creative way of how it was placed. And the song, first of all, is a 5-on-5.
I'd also give it a 5-on-5.
In terms of engaging the crowd, in terms of, I can even picture, like,
I feel like the one left out here. Not
honestly, I could picture Yelawolf kind of being on stage and like questioning the entire crowd on that third verse. Not like he's expecting a response, but
This is Chris's recovery being like, no, there will be a third.
So just check it.
listen,
check it.
I
You want to talk
I'm
about
just
being on
letting you in.
stage? You want to talk about being on stage? I can picture Yelawolf being on stage for the next one because fucking punk is my jam.
Lift kids for the south, jump in the passenger seat of my 69 and hit the bootleg house. I'm on my
I want to say this is my absolute favorite on the song, but I'm completely split between this and another one as my absolute favorite song. This is my absolute favorite song in a sense of the high energy punk, Travis fucking Barker-ness. Yeah, it says Travis fucking Barker up there. Just the whole nature of it. And then the way it flips into Juicy J is flawless to me. I don't care. It's flawless to me.
we're gonna
It
have
just-
that discussion.
We're not really gonna go that much into it. Like I'm not
Well,
that
clearly,
into-
there's really not much to say. Look,
because it's a flawless fucking transition. The beat flips, the energy is vibed. And what I find about this song is that the core essence is Yelawolf getting back in touch with himself and becoming that punk he used to be while just not giving a fuck, as what Juicy says.
yeah,
But
he
no,
made
it's
that
more
very
than
clear.
The beat's amazing. Yelawolf's flow is fucking ridiculous, and the whole song just captures this essence of I finally know who I am. I'm come back home to where I need to be, and I'm just the world is yours, and this I know because Nas told me so. Or shit like, oh my gosh, but Mama tried to harvest early and the pot died. If she ever said I was a good boy, trust me, Mama lied. And you're just like, oh. He's just so aware of who he is. The energy is fantastic. Like, I have listened to this song quite a number of fucking times, is what I'm trying to say here.
So, for me, this song is one of the lower middleist songs on the album. Which is to say that, I love that it's so distinct. And what I respect most about this song is the spirit of punk that it conveys. Because, for me, I got into punk. I was a punk before I was into hip hop, For me, like, they're very comparable movements that are different in some ways. But
I couldn't have said it better myself.
This song has that spirit, and like, what a way to go about it, but to pull Travis Barker onto the track, right? Like the probably the best known punk drummer in the world.
And funnily enough, a well-known hip-hop drummer in the 90s before he became one of the most well-known punk drummers.
Really?
Absolutely true. Anyway, we can go into that, but look it up. Travis Barker is actually well-known. Look at, anyway. Yes.
I mean, we I know that Travis Barker was involved on Transplant, so it's not like he's new to venturing outside of punk. I knew that already,
like
but
we're saying 90s.
that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they nail that feel, and then the music video for me was like fine. There's some kind of cool things on it, I guess. Like I loved there's this point where the black bars just had a ton of fire running through them, and that was like cool. That was a punky feel. I thought that nailed it. I do have to say that for me, Juicy J in the video came across as a little like strange, just in terms of how he was
It's the
dressed for
video.
punk. It was
whatever.
punk is usually
Juicy
not
J on the track was such
Sure.
a
Okay,
Sure.
that's where I'm
Hold
gonna. Oh
so
my
Juicy
god.
J, before Chris makes his point, I would like to say Juicy J on the track is a punk move,
Yes.
right? The
Yes.
song's called Punk, and it flips up, right? So they don't make Juicy J rap over punk. They flip it into just showing that at the same time, punk has got this hip-hop feel by making Juicy J come in with a classic 3-6 Mafia styled old school southern hip-hop type shit going on. And I think he's just trying to connect this southern punk rock feel that he has with this southern hip-hop thing, showing the true roots of the punk that he is. And I don't know, man. Juicy J is a token enough guy to really fill the role the way that he did.
Yeah, it's I don't have much to say other than that. I
Yeah,
thought
go
in
ahead.
the video it was
Really?
like strange.
'Cause
Okay,
for me,
so
it's a 5, by the way. 5.
I
Fucking
gave this
best.
track a 4.5 on 5.
Which is beautiful grade, Chris.
No, it's an amazing grade. And I don't
Wrong.
want to discredit saying that it's an amazing. It's not an amazing song. It is an amazing track. My issue is with Juicy J, and my issue is Juicy J does what Juicy J does. He comes on the track, he bosses out, he says the same shit, and then he leaves.
You know,
And
I
hold
would
on,
say
hold on.
Qualify that. What does he say that's the same?
Everyone's sleeping on me. I've got the world in my hand. Y'all need to switch it up.
That's
it's
not
the
what
same.
Juicy J says on every
It's
song.
basically the premise of what Juicy J says on a lot of his solo music, and it relates to the same shit. And my other problem that I had as well is that he turns around.
I just don't even see that.
Are you talking Juicy J from 3-6, or are you talking Juicy J throughout the entire thing?
Like
I'm
most of
saying
what I heard of Juicy J is more not that. It's a little bit on a different vibe. In fact,
everything since Taylor Gang that when he signed to Wiz Khalifa basically sounded like he just sounded
but
now.
you know who wrote the chorus? Yelawolf.
That's okay.
So what I'm saying is, to me, it's like this chorus. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe Juicy J is just specifically toking that guy.
I'm just and just to also another thing that I found.
How does that make the song worse?
No, I'm not saying it makes the song worse.
Like,
my only actual beef is also to continue my thing was just Juicy J also claims that everybody sounds the same and y'all need to switch it up, but that he didn't switch anything. And for me, it's the same Juicy that I've heard on fucking everything else. So I was like,
but this is
there's a lot of contradiction in what he's doing that I'm just sitting there like, I get the punk move, I get having Juicy, I get all this, but
because to me,
for me,
this
what
is
he's
the first
saying,
time I've heard Juicy put effort into delivery in ages.
Really?
Yeah, because Juicy doesn't try. Like, I don't know what you listen to. I mean, if you want to talk about recent music,
I'm not saying that he tries. I'm not saying that he's trying.
saying
I'm just
he
saying that
tries really hard,
I didn't think he tried
he
on
managed
this.
to take the same line repeated 4 times and distinctly deliver it each time.
Okay.
That's actually pretty well executed.
That part. That's
that's
one
half
little
of Juicy.
part. That's not even half.
That's half of his 8.
I guess so. Yes, because he only does
And
the
then
chorus. Fine.
I think this would be a great point for viewers to chime in.
Yeah, 'cause-
who do you think is? Do you think Juicy J
Yeah.
was great, or would you say that
All
he
I'm
was
saying
not? Who do you agree
is
with? Do you agree with
I
Holden? Do you
feel
agree with Chris?
like
But also another
the-
question worth answering. Sorry, just a quick interjection. Which of them is going to be left a year from now, and which is going to be murdered in cold blood
That's
in
possible.
mysterious
What?
circumstances?
When do we
I'm
get
trying
to?
I get where you're coming from. All I'm trying to say is it's like look, Juicy J fit this song perfectly as a featured artist. He was a great addition to the song, and I'm like, man, that's a strange way to come at this track. That's all I'm saying. It's like, what is
I completely respect your opinion. Just on what I've heard from Juicy J, I followed him from 3-6.
So
I
you're
watched
saying
him go to. I watched
jumping
him
on
go to
the
Wiz.
punk song is
No, jumping on the
mean,
punk song isn't the
everything
thing.
about this.
It's what Juicy
'Cause on
J
top-
as what I see
Juicy-
did. Like I just feel like I heard Juicy's part,
Well, who
and I
else-
was like, "There's
just
the
to counter
yo-ho,
that,
there's the
if you
the
really
signature."
go into like 3-6 Mafia's way of looking at it, Juicy J's consistently been Juicy J for like 25 years, but he is Juicy J, and it's his style that others have copied. So why should he change it up? He's gonna do him, and he don't give a fuck what you think. Therefore, he should have delivered the verse like that, based on the premise of the lyrics, argued logically. Fuck that shit. Roll your boat, Chris.
I don't give a damn about what they think. I don't have to stand.
So this is my total other favorite song because it's equally as brilliant but in a completely different direction. So it's hard to really like say one is better than the other uniformly because they're great. Like the energy on Punk is so dope, but the energy on this is
Can I just shed a light on something?
Mysterious.
I think, and this is where I mentioned earlier that I would make a connection on the album. I feel like Punk is.
You said every song was gonna flow.
I know
together,
that every
and
song,
you're
but then
bringing it up
I'm
on track 10.
no, I'm explaining where I figured it out. I always, you know me, I always feel like every song connects and everything's got a message.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I feel like Punk was the aggressive, protesting, rebellion type, and this is the other side of like the protest because he touches a lot about like the injustice and.
I don't see Punk as so much of a... Punk is more of a personal introspective. I've come to terms with who I am. And Roll Your Boat is more of an observational track on different things. Now, what's brilliant about Roll Your Boat is the poetic technique that he's put into place. So I'm going to read a line before I explain it because it'll be easier. But basically, every line kind of ends and starts with the same words. So You said that you don't want to die, but you still want to go to heaven. Heaven. Heaven's not a place that you can scare me into changing everything that I believe in. And then he would say, leaving is. That's the first line of the song. And it's just so powerful. Like, it's just, wait, you say you don't want to die? You say you don't want to die, but you want to go to heaven. What a contradiction in the first fucking lyric. Like, how deep is that idea? Like, how could you want to go to heaven but be scared to death?
Fair enough.
Whether or not it's like, it's just an excellent phrasing
Concept.
and question
No,
and
sure.
the idea. And the whole song just flows with it. And he does touch on police corruption. He touches on addiction, how like the junkie is, it's a junkie for a feast or whatever the exact line is. I mean,
Yeah.
pick a line in the song, it's gold. And the chorus is beautiful. Holy shit. I don't know, man. I was blown out of the water. I
The
mean,
song is an amazing poem that was wrapped in such a smooth,
but it was like
pure
an
way.
advanced poem in terms
Yeah,
of
it's
the
an advanced.
technique
It might be an
employed.
advanced poem, but it was wrapped and presented in such a pure way that anyone listening to this song will get sucked into the beat, to the flow, to the message, to how his voice just
sings
kind of like
well.
caresses
He really
everything
can
around
sing.
you. Yeah, he's got an amazing. Oh my god.
Go, just row your boat.
So, like, for me,
Oh no.
Here we go. He's gonna crap all over this.
the production sets the mood for the song decently well. The problem is that I don't love the production. You know, it's kind of slow. You know, there's like this. I don't know if it's xylophone or if there's a different instrument that's kind of soft. A little bit occasional electric guitar bends to add some flavor. It's fine. It sets the tone, but you know, I'm not in love with it. You know, I wouldn't be sold just on that. I think Yelawolf brings it up with some really great lines in here, and I just, that's the part I love. I love that this is a politically charged song from Yelawolf, and I think he does a good job writing lyrics that are
5
Straight 5.
for me.
I give this a 4.5.
It's a 5. It's
They are
like I
not,
said, equally my favorite song, which is cool that they were back to back.
You know, you might not even make it to the next show with all these.
Relax.
Yeah, maybe
Chris.
I'm the one who's going to disappear under mysterious
No, I
circumstances.
don't think so. I think
No, I'm-
definitely.
I'm the first one to go.
Ryan's the golden child. Is what I'm
I'm
trying
the
to say.
first one to go.
No, but really, the fact that like my 2 favorite songs are back to back on a track list like this, my excitement was so high, and I do like how the most high energy song almost is complemented by this slow, subtle experience. Either way, I think Yelawolf has effectively said true to yourself, yourself, fuck you.
Spirit if you let it fall, and that's why there's no time at all.
Big ups to that chorus, that hauntingly beautiful chorus.
I like.
It's really lovely. But this was the first song where I felt like, wait, we've been here before. And I'm not saying it's irrelevant, and I'm not saying it's even bad or anything, but I felt like it was another really introspective, reflecting on his scars, how he came to be himself kind of track, which is fitting and good. But it was the first time I had that sense on this album, which was a little sad because to go 10 tracks without it, it's pretty freaking impressive. So I'm not really complaining, and I'm not even saying it wasn't well executed. But kind of like how you weren't so sold on the production of the last track, I wasn't as sold on the length of this track because the production was really good and everything was going fine. Yelawolf does his 2 verses, and then there's the chorus, and then there's that long kind of, there's like some horns are played for a minute, and then it's a bridge, and then it's just the chorus again, and it ends. And I feel like it's a good like minute and a half longer than it needed to be.
Well,
and
again,
that is my biggest grievance with this track, because Yelawolf's on point, everything else is on point. I feel like there's not a lot new lyrically to really delve into, and like I said, we're probably pushing it in length a bit, so I'm rushing out because I didn't like this one as much. So I give it a 4. It's
Okay.
one of the lower ones on again. 4. This is the lowest I'm saying is really great, just not perfect.
I gave this a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was really
You guys
great.
can talk longer. I just didn't want to talk.
No, that's fair.
I think it was a really great song in terms of how he did it. A lot of the times you hear rappers or artists speak about what people have been told them, but not directly quote them. And I feel like the way that Yelawolf presented this song, or at least from what I remember from it, he's basically describing himself, but in the eyes of other people from what he's been told by other people. And I really like how he kind of captures that and he gives you that time to kind of reflect on it and kind of give you that moment again, like what do you do for love or do for love? How he gives you that time to kind of reflect on what people think, like I've said to you, and kind of like make you think and reminisce. I feel like I do agree that it's long though.
It's not that. It's just I feel like this song kind of grabbed from 2 or 3 other tracks and reshuffled the ideas into a new one.
I see that. I'm
not hating it. It's just the lack of novelty compared to the rest of what I've just heard, especially right after my 2 favorite tracks on the album. It was almost like this track had a really... How do you follow up Row Your Boat is kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little bit between the two of you on this. I would say that, the production kind of slow, electric guitar, the trumpet, I think, shaky percussion bead things, maracas maybe. I'm not really quite sure. But and the choirs, it feels like the rest of the album. It's thematically on point, so I don't want to be too harsh on it. I'd say the production is good, but not great. And the lyrics, on the other hand, are amazing. And, we've got some lines in here, like, here we go to church on a Sunday morning, hangovers on him, whiskey pouring out his skin, it's like a poison, beer-soaked boots on the barroom floor, it's perfume to a sinner, it's alluring. It's like, man, he still continues so thoroughly to paint this beautifully vivid picture with words. So yes. I would give this a 4.3 and just say, the production's not really up my avenue, but it's good. If you are really into the style that he does, I think that you'd still really like the production on this song, though. It's not bad.
It's true. But considering that Sabrina is next, I'd rather talk about that.
You can wake up, daddy. Not a response. Fear turn.
Wow. This song caught me so off guard, right? Like, At a certain point, you've gone through a degree of expectation. This album's super about himself, super about his experiences, his trials and stuff. But then to throw such a universal thing, I feel like every parent who hears this song is going to understand that exact series of emotions.
And if you don't have kids, you might still actually feel the realness behind this.
On the other side of that coin,
my God,
this song is pretty terrifying, right? Like, I was on the edge of my seat until the end of it, and then I was like, oh my God, I was heartbroken, and then I realized when I looked it up that he doesn't have a daughter named Sabrina.
That's
so
true.
It's not a true story. I read online there were some parents who were upset about this because for them it was so I mean, for me who doesn't have kids, it's brutal.
Let him finish, Chris.
For them, they were like, I did not appreciate that experience of putting me in the shoes of imagining my child dying. That is a hard experience.
But the fact that he captured this so well, so it starts with him waking up, and it's like heart's pounding, and there's almost anxiety, like he knows something's wrong, and he just races through, running it through his thing, and there's these moments like, oh, she's totally behind there, open it up, like, and then it's just this, every single time he captures you and he gets you out, like, yes, it's gonna be okay, until it's not.
What?
And then he goes outside. Yeah, like he
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of lead up.
And then he goes outside, and he goes all the way down to the pond, this place where they used to play. And then she just sees her dead. Like, I know that's kind of blunt, but, that's it. He's dead, and he calls the 911. He's freaking out, like, how is this fucking fair, and blah, blah, blah. And, I feel like you were saying, I was on the seat of my pants. This is what, and it's so crystal fucking clear. Every word, and he captures you.
Yeah, you can, feel the pain. I just want to ask fans, I want to know, does he have a daughter or not? I know, I'm not, listen,
he has
hold
children.
on. Wait,
no,
listen. Well, my only problem with this is because he states that he's getting drunk and yelling at his daughter in a song.
He didn't say he was yelling.
Yeah,
he said he gets drunk in front of his daughter.
No, he says he yells in front of his daughter. He clearly
so
I just want to know,
so he has a daughter. It's not Sabrina. This is a fictional story of the paranoia of losing your kid.
Let us know in the comments, guys.
I mean, Chris, this is something we both checked after.
I'm just saying, is there I just want to know, is this an allude to a story? Is there if he doesn't have a daughter,
so I did not look into this, so this could be completely off, but when I was looking it up, I noticed a post online on a website called Hip Hop Shelter, and this guy said, so this track raised a lot of questions because he doesn't actually even have a child named Sabrina. I dug into the name and the act of a child drowning. In ancient European culture, there was a child and her mother drowned in a river by Gwendolen, a great queen in Britain after she defeated her husband named Lacrinus in battle. That river was named after Sabrina afterwards to never forget Lacrin's betrayal of Gwendolyn. Myths say she is still in the river, alive in the river, which reflects her mood. She is supposed to be a river goddess or some shit.
See, it's totally more plausible that he read a story like that and created this thing. Maybe what happened was he woke up, because he does have kids, and he had this scary moment where his kid was missing, and everything but the part where the child dies is true. And he found the kid outside or whatever, and he does live in the middle of the woods. But I think this is just like it's a piece of fiction he put together to capture the emotion. And that's what's supposed to be happening here. It's to create that emotional relatability through a very realistic and unfortunately scary story that could happen to a parent.
And I just want to emphasize here how good the production is. And
Yes.
the reason the production is so good, because it's minimalistic. This is sort of like an interlude almost, but it's got these complementary flourishes that help with the story he's telling to really get that narrative across in a way that, we feel like we're there with him going through this experience, and it's mortifying.
And it's like you can tell this is not a song that was like, yo, I gotta do that one take. In fact, no, he was like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna break up this line over here with this effect on it, and this sentence here. And like he plotted this out with such exquisite level of detail that it's a theatrical experience within a track. It's a clear 5, man. I mean, if there is one track on this album that's truly just a unique experience worth checking out, I'd say it's this one. I mean, it might not be my favorite song on the album, but it's the one that, like, floored me the most in terms of just what the fuck. That is so incredible.
Yeah, I think I'd also give it a 5. It's tough because, it feels like it's a little bit less music-y than the rest of the songs in this album. It feels like an interlude. But, like, it's like the interlude to end all interludes, if that's the case. It's very, very emotionally profound, I found.
It's a 5.
Yeah, Violin. That's what follows it, Violin.
She looks at that reflection.
So Lee Brice just sings, and it's fucking beautiful.
Yes.
And then Yelawolf talks about some unfair shit. Like the soldier who gave himself to America and came home, and America fucked up their fucking psychology and turned their back on it.
I just want to state, I love how it's Yelawolf aggressiveness and then sudden cut to smooth, peaceful.
And then you got that second verse of the woman who got beat by her
good
man
contrast.
until she fucking kills herself. And he comes home with flowers, but it's too late. And then the third verse, it almost feels like Yelawolf is played by life, and he's kind of reflecting on all of the bullshit circumstances he had, and the way he ties it into like God is playing him like a violin, and he's just some chords, and you're just like, look. As far as powerful goes, I know we've said this a lot, but this one is fucking powerful. This one it captures these specific moments so good. But what this one does is cool. From a production point of view, the way he has these lines, and he's like, and I'm going to sing the line, then I'm going to rap the same line right over it. And it creates this almost harmony, showcasing his versatility even further. And again, it's to give him credit, 13 tracks, 13 unique flows. Super fucking impressive.
Dope.
And I don't know, man. I was enthralled with the beat, with everything. I didn't think it was as perfect. I mean, but it is really a great fucking song. I give this one a 4.5. It's truly impressive. This is 13 songs, and I'm still this fucking excited. How rare does that actually happen?
Fair
where
enough.
13, you're
Fair
like,
enough.
this is so good.
Fair enough. I gave this song a 4.5 on 5 as well. I don't really know what to say about it. It's so deep. It's so dark. It's so uplifting with the beat, though, because the violins are kind of happy sounding. And just the concept of Yelawolf's relationship with God and his relationship with, maybe not relationship, but the way he copes with things is just so profound. And
You know what I love? Is empathy.
He's really good at it. That's one of the things that as a writer, I think he benefits from consistently. He's really good at making you relate to him.
He pays so much attention. It's like you can tell that Yelawolf has heard a million stories.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I gotta say that, you know, I really dug the production on this track. There was this acoustic guitar and these drums that were pretty fast-paced and aggressive. And then the violin on that hook was just calming and relaxing. There's a nice contrast there. The sweet singing voice over the violin was really complimentary. And I love that line on the hook, you played me, you make me your violin. It's like, it's great. It's you know, songwriting, there's a lot of rappers really try super, super hard to come through with, like, you know, crazy wordplay all the time, and they're really trying to show off. And what I think Yelawolf nails is it doesn't feel like he is trying to show off. It feels like he is trying to take you down an experience, and the focus is there. So he's never, like, trying to show off and make a big deal out of it. He's very talented, so sometimes you do just have that, wow, like, you've got a great flow. But really, there's this emphasis on pulling you through this experience with words, and it's very consistent across this album.
Agreed. What'd you give it?
I give it a 4.5 as well.
Awesome. Keeps me alive to hear you say that, my friend.
School of hard knocks, and I carry that attitude with me to this day. More or not.
This song's called Keeping Me Alive, and I find it really interesting because it's kind of his story, right?
Yeah.
It starts off with him as a youngin going through his stuff again. And we've seen this format a couple of times, but it's literally more about his story directly. Then in the second verse, it's more about his struggles trying to become a rapper and blah, blah, blah. But it was really that third verse where he's about to get on the plane.
100%.
And he looks back and he sees his daughter crying and he knows he has to abandon her.
But he doesn't have a daughter.
Oh,
No, he has daughters.
He doesn't have a daughter named Sabrina.
Chris.
Okay, so he has daughters.
Yes, we said that like 3 or 4 times
Then,
to you
like,
on this
forget
podcast.
whatever I said earlier.
Thank you.
I just...
Moving on. So then he looks back as his daughter's crying and he says all the things he has to say to her and he still has to get on that plane. And then it's what he says at the very end that fucking, I love it. And the truth is, I don't know if you wrote it down or quoted it. Can you quote it?
Okay. And I'm excited to get on the road, already 1 foot out the door, turn around and it's my daughter. She's
Well, it was
crying.
later on.
Wait,
do you have the last lines of that verse?
Oh, the last lines? I have up till, like, towards the end.
Oh.
But that's not enough. It's breaking my heart in two, just knowing I can't stay, not even to see it through. And I can't tuck her in to say goodbye with a grin. Now she's being left behind. This is me all over again.
And then, like, right after that, that's what I was going for. The line right after that is basically something to the effect of, but this is going to give you her own story to be this great.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I had that same thing. And as much as I'm doing this to her, it's going to fuel her. And I love that idea. I love the fact that he can recognize that this could turn into the best thing for her because of what he's doing. But he's still going to do... Oh, man. This song was a really, like, solid track still. Like, it's another 4.5 for me. Production's on point. Wyonna or whoever it is sings well.
Yeah, great support.
I'm not going to lie. Given it's the 3rd or 4th track with this format, it was hard to call this an out-the-park slam. But excellent close to this album. Because it shows him with that sense of finality. Like, just the last verse on this album, it's 2 a.m. I'm hitting the tour bus for a nationwide tour. And now I'm about to, unfortunately, start the fire for my daughter of the trial she's going to have to go through. Because it is based on his father and all this. And it's, like, fucking meta. It's great. 4.5 on 5. Truly fantastic album closer.
Yeah, I'm completely in agreement. 4.5, and I have to say that, you know, it just goes to show that he can tie off the end of this album with the same kind of just dedication to carrying this narrative that he's had throughout the album. It was really well done.
So what we're trying to say is, Chris, all the songs kind of track over track. Anyway, how'd you feel?
I gave this song a 4.5 on 5. I think that it was a really good ending to the album. I think that after going through the entire experience of the album, this is a good way to close it. And he kind of breaks it down like, this is my story. And every song you just listened to is why I continue doing what I'm doing. And I think that adding the...
And his daughter. I'm just throwing that in there.
But,
you know that one who died?
No, yeah, of course, the one. But all in all, I really liked this track. I really liked the singing and just the power in the song. 4.5 on 5.
Okay, so album closing remarks. Album of the motherfucking year. This might be the highest mark I've given to an album that came out this year that wasn't on the classic album reviews.
Oh,
it's
boy.
a 4.65.
How much was Kendrick? Did you give?
Probably less than that. Daemon was more like 4.3 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Because to me, this is a better album than Daemon. It's different. They're not the same thing. But what I like about this is song for song, it is consistently great. The
That
lower
is so
ends of this
fire.
album are often based off of preference as opposed to lack of quality.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not an album I'm gonna get bored of. It's not like I had to plus the whole thing.
Why are you plussing? Why don't you just download?
Because I already had 5 singles plussed, so I didn't want to re-plus those singles. Sorry, Chris, that I'm not using Spotify the way you use Spotify.
You should use Spotify the way
Freaking
I
jerk.
use it.
Anyway,
God.
seriously, I will be shocked if it doesn't get a Grammy nom, and this is my favorite album that's been released this year.
Nice.
What about you, Chris?
I gave the album a 4.6. I thought this was amazing. I think that I agree with Holden. It's album of the year. It is something that everyone can sit back and everyone from every genre can listen to this and vibe and learn something from it. I think that every age can learn something from it. So
No, kids should not listen to this.
maybe not like, I don't know,
I'm
depending.
talking like 7-year-olds, dude.
Okay, yes, that's
Thank you.
like that's.
So it's not every age.
You know, you make it so
Yes,
freaking.
yes, I do.
Yeah, okay, so this album is fucking great.
Yes,
There's no
yes,
other
it
way to
is.
put it. It's a fucking great album.
truly
Look,
is.
we're all really hot on it. I think this album may be the first time I've given any song a 5, and I gave out multiple 5s. This is, I agree, so far from all the albums that I've personally heard, this is my album of the year. We're going to have to see what happens when Eminem releases his album. But
Dun dun dun.
this was a very good album, and there's a number of things I want to say on that point. It's just Yelawolf is constantly on point. His production is very sharp, but it's also very distinct. He has his own style within hip hop, which is already, very rare. It's very rare that hip hop artists kind of venture out of the standard expected nature of hip hop music. It's and we get like this really unique fusion of different genres of music here. We get some country, we get some rock, we get some classic hip hop. It feels great. And it's the other thing is, his vocal style is unique and distinct. And it's always been, but it just emphasizes it all the more with the fact that the production is also so unique and distinct. You really get a sense here for Yelawolf as a unique artist, and he's also an excellent lyricist who knows how to paint a vivid scene with potent imagery and still has some wordplay in there that keeps it fun and engaging. Honestly, I also give this a 4.6, and it's going to be
For
really...
the record, 4.65.
No, you hold that down, okay? You hold that down.
It's gonna be a hard album to beat this year, so we'll have to see if something else
Honestly,
comes up.
I'm if it had to be Eminem versus Yelawolf, right now I'm seeing it as a tough challenge for Shady. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I would
On
also
that note,
agree.
Thank you so much for sticking with us. We really fucking appreciate it. I am looking forward to hearing how you feel about this album. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button,
Catch us up on all our social media platforms listed below.
or just watch videos. There's a whole bunch now. We're well over 100 videos on this channel.
Tweet me. I'm bored. Talk to me. I have no social life after when I'm
Okay,
done
anyways.
this.
And also, let us know in the comments what you thought of this album.
I
What
think
score would you give it?
absolutely.
And what was on your mind for it? Did you agree with us? Did you disagree?
Or would you
Either way,
rather,
it's great.
like-
We would love to hear it.
Are you like sitting there going, Trump music was the shit, fuck this shit? I want to hear why.
And I'm Prophetry. Hope you
HSR.
enjoyed it, Internet.
Chris Groom. All right, peace, bye.